Welcome back to another Computer Sluggish video. Have you subscribed to my YouTube channel yet? If not, be sure to click on the big red subscribe button and click on the bell to get notified when I upload a new video. And check out my forum at computersluggish.com. In today's video, I will be showing you how to make this simple, easy YouTube banner on Call of Duty Warzone in Gimp. If you do struggle following the tutorial or just want to download the project file, then you can download the example that I have on my screen at the moment, and then you can make all the changes that you want. And also I have got all the links to the pictures that I use in this project file on my forum as well. The link is in the description below. And like I said, you don't have to use the images that I used there, just an example. You can choose your own pictures. To start off with, first you need to click on the first link that's on my forum, and you will end up on a page that looks like this. We now need to scroll down, and you now need to click on Channel Art Template. And you now need to click on this link here, and you now need to go Save File. That will now download a zip folder, and you then need to just extract that folder. And you will end up with a channel art template like I have here. You now need to go into that folder, and you now need to open up the channel art template, and there we go. That is the template we will be using in this video. You now need to right click and go copy, and we now need to go back to Gimp, and you now need to go File, New, and we now need to type in 2560, and the height we need to type in 1440 and press OK. We now have our blank canvas. We now need to go Control and V to paste in that YouTube template that we just copied, and cool, as you can see we now have our template. We have the TV size, which is all this. That is what will be shown on a big TV screen for the banner. And then we have our desktop max, which would show this entire bar. We have tablet, and then we have desktop minimum and mobile. To start off with, the first thing we want to do now is press this little green button here to add that to a layer. We now want to create a new layer, and we now want to press OK. We now want to go up to the top left hand corner, and we want to select our paintbrush. You now need to click on this button here to change the brush, and we want to select the solid circle. You now need to change the size down to, let's go with 5, and you need to keep all the other options as default. We now want to zoom in, and we want to basically go about here, and we want to now click, and you now need to hold down shift, and you now need to click above the line but hold down control as well, so we get a nice straight line up, but we want to go at an angle. You now need to click again, and there we go. We now have one perfect straight line up through the middle of the text and logo section. We now want to duplicate this layer by right clicking on the layer on the right hand side, and then we now want to go duplicate layer. We now want to select our move tool, and we now just want to simply press the right arrow on your keyboard. Actually, that's a little bit slow. Let's just move that along, and we want to go, let's go about there. It doesn't matter if the white line's gone below a little bit. In fact, we could move that one down a little bit as well. That's absolutely fine, because we're going to cut that bit off in a minute. You now want to basically figure out the equal distance between the top and bottoms here. I'm actually kind of happy with that. I think that actually looks pretty spot on, as you can see, but you can play around with this. I'm not going to spend all day playing around with that. We now want to select our top layer, and we now want to right click on it, and we want to go merge down. Both these white lines are now on the same layer, and we now want to select our rectangle select tool, and we now want to scroll in a little bit more, holding control and using the wheel on our mouse, and we now want to simply go down to the line and then go delete, There we go, that looks good. As you can see, it's flush with the line. And we want to do the same with the bottom section of the lines. And we want to go about there. Cool, I'm happy with that. They look perfect. If we now scroll out a little bit more, we now have two white lines, as you can see. If we scroll in some more, we now want to do another white line. We want to do this at the top and at the bottom. I'm just going to select my paintbrush again, and I'm going to keep that brush on there, the fourth option, the hard brush, and we're going to select size 5. We now need to create another new layer, and if we zoom out so we can see the entire image, we now actually, let's zoom into this corner here. We now want to simply just click on the line. As you can see, if I get my crosshair, I want to just basically click there. I now need to scroll out, and I now need to hold down shift and go over here. Let's just zoom in again, holding control and using the mouse wheel. I want to now hold down shift and hold down control. As you can see, that's about to create a perfect line. If I now click, we now have a perfect straight white line. We now want to right click on that layer, and we now want to go duplicate layer. We now want to select our move tool, and we just want to simply move that white line down and then zoom in, and let's just move it up a bit. There we go. And it's up to you how far in you go. In fact, I'm just going to, as you can see, if I zoom in a little bit more, if I move that up, you can then see the grey. I'm actually going to go down there. So and then it's now light grey on both sides, and I will do the same on the top line. If I select the top line, let's just move it up. There we go. You can see the line, the changing colour starts there. I'm going to go there. Cool. There we go. We now have a perfect straight white line at the top and bottom, and we have the two diagonal lines there, as you can see. We now want to select our other layer again, and we want to just simply merge that down. And yeah, cool. Right, we've got our two white lines and diagonal white lines. The next thing we need to do now is select our images. I've already selected a couple of images that I'm going to use for this YouTube banner. As an example, you can select your own images, or you can get these images from the links on the forum. The first image is this one here. I now need to right click and go copy and go back to my banner, and I now need to go Control and V, or you can go up to edit and paste. We now want to just select this green button here to create a new layer with the image, and I now want to drag this over, but the first thing I need to do now is just drag that layer below my two white lines, and then we can get a good idea of where I want this image to go. I'm now going to put this image, let's actually change the size of it slightly. I'm going to go up to my transform tool, and I'm now going to select the image, and we're just going to simply shrink it down a little bit. There we go. It doesn't need to be that big. We can now press transform, and there we go. Nice. I'm now going to zoom in a little bit, and we now need to simply go along and select our rectangle tool, and we're now going to go up to the white line, there we go, and go delete. We're now going to do the same again and go delete. Cool. We now want to zoom in a little bit more on this section here, and you don't have to do this bit, but I like to always do it. I'm going to select my eraser tool, and I'm going to change the size of my eraser, and I'm just going to simply go along the white line and remove any of the excess image. Let's just change the size of my brush a little bit more. There we go. You've got to be very careful when doing this. It's very easy to make a mistake. Oh, there we go. I missed a little bit there, as you can see. Okay, cool, nice. That image is now within the two lines. The next thing we want to do is grab our next image. And I'm going to go with number 3 now. Let's go copy. And we now want to go Control and V. Let's zoom out slightly and move the image over here. And as you can see, that is roughly where it would be. I'm going to create the new layer by going to my layers and clicking that green button. And I'm going to actually change the size by selecting my transform tool in the top left hand corner here. And we're going to select the image, and we're now going to change the size down slightly. Let's go about, I reckon that is probably it. Let's go transform and see how that looks. As you can see, you've got his face and we've got the weapon there. We could actually move that along a little bit more. There we go, that looks perfect. I now need to select my rectangle select tool again and go up to the white line, and we're going to go delete. And we're going to do the same from the top again. And we're going to go delete. We now need to do the same on the left hand side. If you want to do it a bit quicker, you can use a rectangle tool and just go to the white line there and then go delete. And we now need to select our eraser tool. And let's change the brush size. As you can see, I can do that there. And just simply go along like that. And I'm now going to change the brush size again, just to make it a bit smaller and easier. Let's go down like that. There we go. That's looking absolutely fantastic. Keep going down. Cool, and let's do the top bit. This image is quite bright. It's actually making it hard to see the white line slightly. But we are getting there. Okay, cool. There we go. That is actually looking very cool. As you can see, we now have our two images either side, and we now have a bit of space in the middle to do another image. At the start of the video, when I showed you how to do those diagonal lines, you could always make them slightly wider if you want to, or you can make them smaller. It's totally up to you. I'm now going to select my next image, and I'm going to right click and go copy. And for this image, I didn't actually want the people in it. I want to just have the scenery, the background, which means I need to move that over slightly. And yeah, that's probably about it. That looks pretty cool. I now need to select the green create a new layer in the bottom right hand corner on my layers window. And I'm now going to select my rectangle tool again in the top left. And we're now just going to simply crop or delete the image down. Go up to the white line and delete. Do the same as we did with all the other images. And there we go. Because the other two images are on top of the layer, on top of this image, as you can see on my layers, then it does hide the image, which means you don't have to erase the other sections, but if you did hide them, then you can see. But I won't bother. Actually, let's just remove that bit slightly. There we go. I might as well just do that. Okay, cool. Right, let's bring those images back. That is looking very cool. Right, the next thing to do is get some text on this banner. We now need to select our text tool on the left hand side. And you now need to create a new layer. If you select the top layer and then press create a new layer and press OK, there we go, the layer's at the top, which means it will go on top of everything. We now want to click, and you now need to type in your YouTube name or whatever text you want. I'm just going to go with computer sluggish. And as you can see, I have impact. I'm now going to select my text, and I actually want to put a bit of italic on the text. It looks pretty funky and cool. I like the look of that. Right, let's just move that around a little bit. You could go with the top, you can go with the center, you could go slightly over left. You can always hide all the other layers as well. If you just hide your image layers quickly, you can then get a good idea of where the text will be on the template. And as you can see, my text would currently show on the desktop minimum and mobile minimum, which means that text will show on every device anyone uses, which is what we want. It sometimes is easier also just to do the text with the template anyway. Right, let's just move that about there. we can have computer sluggish there. If we now select our text tool again, I did also say you need to create a new layer for the text, but as you can see on the right hand side, it does automatically create its own layer when using text, so we don't have to keep creating new layers. I'm now going to click slightly below my name, and you can now just put something cool. I could just put that computer sluggish, and we could go cool. Let's go like that, and then let's do that. And I'm now going to change the size slightly. Let's just tone that down to about there. And let's put that there. Right, we've got cool. So computer sluggish, cool. Yeah, I like that. That looks very cool. Right, the next thing we need to do, let's actually move that down slightly. The next thing we need to do is select our first text, so computer sluggish, and you now need to go up to filters. We now need to go down to light and shadow, and you now need to select drop shadow. As you can see, there is a slight shadow now on my text, and it is easier to quickly show the other layers. You can now play around with the shadow. Let's just change X and Y down a little bit. There we go. And let's actually turn that up. There we go. As you can see, the shadow is actually going in the wrong direction. I don't want it to go in that direction. I want it to go that direction. That looks good. And the blur, I actually want to tone that down a bit. I don't want it to be too blurry. And I want it to actually be a bit closer. There we go. That actually looks pretty good. Yeah, cool. Right, that looks good. And once you are happy, you can go ahead and press OK. And if we do the same again for our other text, whatever you have, cool or I don't know, let's actually quickly, let's just change that from cool. Let's put something else. Let's put tutorials. Let's do it in capitals. Tutorials. And then let's do a dash, and then let's go with tutorials, and let's go Gimp. Oh, let's move that over slightly. Tutorials, and then we got Gimp. Let's select our text tool again. So we got tutorials, we got Gimp, and then we've got, let's go hardware. There we go, that'll do. If I now scroll out a little bit more and then select that text, and let's change the size. Let's tone that down a bit. Obviously you can choose what size you want all your text to be. Let's move that now there. Okay, so I now want to add a shadow to this text as well, so we can basically see it a bit better. To do this, all I need to do is go up to filters again, light and shadow, and we now want to click on drop shadow. You now need to just change the settings again until you're happy. Let's go like that. We want to turn that up. And we also want to... Oh, okay, the blur is too much. There we go. That looks good. And we want to bring that in slightly. There we go. I'm happy with that. That looks good. The next thing we want to do is obviously remove this grey background as well. We now want to right click on the template background, and you want to basically delete this layer. We just want to click delete layer, and we now have our normal white background. And you can now change the colour of this background by simply clicking on the bucket fill and then just choosing a colour. I'm going to go with let's go with a kind of bluey colour and press OK. And there we go. That looks pretty cool. I'm happy with that. I like that. And that is how you make a Call of Duty Warzone YouTube banner. And like I said at the start of this video, if you do want to download this template for Gimp as an example, then you can click on the link that's in the description below and you will end up on my forum. And all the links are there for everything you will need to be able to do this. I hope this tutorial has helped, and if you do want me to do more YouTube banner videos in Gimp or even like paint.net or something, then please comment below or post a message on my forum and I will definitely see what I can do. To save the image, all you need to do is go up to File and then press Export. And then you can just simply give it a name and just export your banner and then upload it to YouTube. And that's it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more computer sluggish tutorials. Don't forget to check out my social media channels and forum.